Welcome to Common Sense Investing. My name is Cameron. You're here for another Monday evening live stream to talk about microcap stocks. Seems like everything's working. My screen is working. My audio is working. So I can get started here. As usual, I have a presentation, 25 slides or so, talking about microcap stocks in the past week. I do this every week, giving an update on some of the microcap stocks in my universe on that I provide some coverage for what it's worth, right? Not like official coverage from an analyst, but basically a little bit of YouTube coverage, getting some eyeballs on these stocks because basically that's what I try to do. I try to find decent companies, good companies, and create a network of decent people, good investors, and then just put those two things together, right? Good companies with good investors is basically the entire premise of my channel. Look at that. We got a few people already here talking as usual. Let me know if there's a stock you want to talk about, if you have any comments, any opinions of your own. I absolutely love it. Of course, back here my channel, right? Your opinion matters. Like, subscribe, comment. Somebody's from Pearson Airport just passing through. Fantastic. Sitting here watching Common Sense Investing talk about microcap stocks and a question on Dragonfly Inc. that I will get to after my presentation. So that's where we're at. Comment. I've got about 20, 30 minutes I usually talk for, and then at the end of my discussion, at the end of my presentation, I'll talk about anything you want to talk about. July. This is the middle of July 2025. We've been on a bull run for about 6 weeks. It's been going great. Do not forget, before I talk about any of these stocks, not financial advice. I'm not your dang financial advisor. I'm not a financial advisor, right? This is my hobby. I just recognized that there wasn't enough good people talking about microcap stocks online because everybody was scared to do so, and everybody kind of got, run away from the sector, and all we were left with were the people pumping penny stocks. And so I created this platform just as a communication tool, like I said, to try to connect good companies with good investors. And none of this is a solicitation to buy, sell, or hold any of these stocks. Let's see here. Thoughts on roof. People want to talk about Northstar Clean Technologies. Sure, I'll get to that in a bit. It's a bit of a mixed bag lately, right? We've been on a bull run for about 6 weeks, and this week is a little bit softer. I think the U.S. has inflation coming in on Tuesday. We've got PPI inflation coming in on Wednesday, and then Thursday is the initial jobless rate. So the markets could be a little bit wobbly this week, and we'll see where they go. That's what I'm waiting for. This week is going to be interesting because I think this week is going to solidify whether or not we continue on this bull run and stocks continue to go up, or whether we get a little bit of volatility. Right now, it's been a little bit of a fight. I think one of my questions right now for people isn't necessarily talking about one stock or another stock, but right now it's a bit of a confusing market, right? Is it a good enough market right now? Are people basically investing into strength? Is there a lot of people out there right now that are slim investing into microcap stocks, buying into strength, trading it a little bit? Or are people right now, because so many stocks have gone up in price and valuations are quite high for some of them, whether people are out there looking for the stocks that have been overlooked, looking for the stocks that are a bit cheap right now, and trying to do a bit of a GARP style of investing? I'm personally doing a little bit of both. I'm curious what some other people are out there doing. Well, what else am I doing? Well, I'm the guy that tries to introduce one new stock per week to YouTube in 10 minutes or less, so it's not cumbersome watching some 15 or 20 minute long video. Let me tell you, that is challenging sometimes. Some of these videos I record are 30 minutes, and then I just edit and edit and edit and edit until all I want is the best 10 minutes. I just want the perfect 10 minutes. So it's always hard to record a 30-minute video because some of these stocks, I have so much to talk about, but it's not all important. I try to edit out the unimportant part. Recently, I did this past week a video introducing Avant Security or Avant Core trading under the ticker XX in Canada on the TSXV. I have to say, this is a disappointing video. 8th. I was telling people it was 9th. I actually went and checked today. It was 8 Out of the past 10 videos I have made, it is in 8th place, and that is pretty low, right? One of these little videos over here, $5 million market cap Pico stock piques my interest. This video got something like 2 or 3 times the number of views that poor old Avant got. So not a good sign for them. People were watching the video that watched it. There were people clicking on the video. It's just, I think a lot of people were burned by this company in the past and just didn't want to watch this video at all, just because of the history of this company. And that's fair. Why I'm pointing this out is that I hope companies watch this, and if you burn investors in the past, they're not necessarily likely to come back just because your story might be changing or you might be at an inflection point. Investors, some investors especially, do not forget, never forget. So when I put out a video on, a good company that potentially could be at an inflection point, it does really poorly. That's a bad sign, not for me. Maybe I should look at it a little bit as maybe it was a poor video, but I think it's more of a bad sign for the company. Good sign for a company. Don't you feel proud, right? Isn't this stock all grown up? I'll actually go to the next slide and come back to this. I first introduced Gatekeeper way back here somewhere. I don't even remember. It was like late 2022, early 2023. It was at 20 cents. I mean, I feel proud. Congratulations to all the people, especially that have been on my channel following Gatekeeper from this price. It has gone from 20 cents to we're well over 140 right now. And it is dropping, of course, because they do have that private bought offering, private placement at $1.20 Canadian. That was announced today. So, I mean, congratulations. This is basically a 6x stock for people that bought down here when I first introduced them. You did your own research. You liked the company. You bought it at 20 cents. And they just now did a financing at $1.20. That is absolutely fantastic. A couple points about the financing that surprised me. I've been saying they should be doing one of these for a while. Good amount of money, $10 million, not too high, not too low, no warrants. Congratulations to Gatekeeper for getting this done without warrants, or at least there's no announcements of warrants in the press release. And that would be fantastic if that is the case, that there's no warrants. There is a 6% fee, but I mean, that's completely fair considering there's no warrants being given out. And again, they can, I think, overreach by about 15%, but within 48 hours of the close. So this is hot and heavy, quick and done financing with no warrants. This is outstanding. This shows strong buying. Somebody really wanted to buy into Gatekeeper Systems. This was the opportunity. And if this closes quickly, we'll talk about it in a week. Maybe they should have gone for a little bit more money, right? But they have $8.5 million in cash already, or close to $9 million in cash already. They're now going to be adding another a little over 9 million once they take away the fees and everything. And so this company has a lot of capital to execute on the contracts that they have not announced yet because they're not allowed to, but there are people that know that contract is out there, as well as all the smaller contracts that they've been announcing lately. And, hopefully some large ones coming up in the future, more than just the $23 million that basically everybody knows about. Congratulations to Gatekeeper shareholders. This has really been an outstanding stock. And even better than that, I've always said, this company makes video cameras protecting our children in school buses. It's not just a good stock. It's been a good company. That's just such a super huge win, right, for Gatekeeper Systems. Absolutely fantastic, right? Northstar. People have already been asking about Northstar Clean Technologies. What are the questions here? I get asked just about every week about Roof, about Northstar. Glad to see you. Would be great to hear your thoughts on Roof. New news from the Roof Tech is seriously de-risked, but still more steps to go. That's just it right here, right? So when we talk about it, I keep forwarding my slides. I think people were disappointed in share price because they announced what the company has called company changing news recently, right? And share price has not gone up and sustained it. It went up to about 39 cents. It's back down again now. This is a pre-revenue company. They only have a little bit of pilot revenue. What they recently announced is that they're basically commissioning their new first full commercial facility in Calgary. They've done all the testing. Everything looks good, and they're producing liquid asphalt. It is absolutely fantastic. Most of that news probably already baked into the price. And if it isn't and people are just ignoring this news, it doesn't really matter to me. Like, one of the things that I think people need to understand about me sometimes, I show this on a lot of my live streams, is that, I build a thesis, and when I build that thesis, I evaluate all the inputs that are coming in. I build a position depending on what size I want that position to be. Because Northstar Clean Technologies is a pre-revenue company, it's very high risk. I do not own a large position, and yes, I do have a position in Northstar. And then I evaluate the inputs coming in and decide, evaluate my thesis, decide whether I want to buy more, trim, or sell. This is enough to at least stop me from trimming at this point or selling. I don't know that I'm going to buy more at this point. Potentially, we'll see what happens going forward. But I think a lot of people are like me, where they're in doing this. And when we see that news coming out from Northstar, it's just not enough news to move the needle. But one of the things that I do when I'm building these theses on a company is I have a timeline. And for Northstar Clean Technology, the timeline has never been the commissioning of this plant. It has been getting earnings and how they're going to grow the company, right? So where are earnings going to go? We need to see what kind of production this facility can produce, how quick they can do it. We need to see a ramp up of their actual full-scale production, what kind of margins they're going to get. Are they close? Are they not close? And then I think investors also need to hear how they plan on funding and growing this company, because it's great that Calgary's finally starting up, but it's going to be taking, what is it now, 2 years? 2 years to get this facility going. So when you look at the potential of this company and the fact that we're 2 years in to get one facility going, we're still waiting to see earnings. It is great news that they fired up the plant, but I mean, it's still a huge concern, I think, for people, how quickly they can grow. At the end of the day, I don't worry about it. Like, I know I get asked about Northstar Clean Technologies every week. For me, again, small position, high potential company, also very high risk, because it is a pre-revenue stock. But I'm patient. My timeline on this one is over the next 6 to 9 months. I want to see earnings coming in from their new facility in Calgary and what that looks like, and then I will make my decision. So I'm being Yoda, I'm being patient, 6 to 9 months. I always have a timeline. And just to be clear, what was said about Northstar and their Calgary facility, they've produced their first liquid asphalt. All the major processing units at the facility have now been commissioned, demonstrating an important de-risking of the company's technology and intellectual property. Details of this achievement are included in the release, and they released a video, a 6-episode YouTube video, basically on their facility. And they say here with great pride they make this announcement, and that it's an outstanding outcome for both Northstar and its shareholders. But I think shareholders are disappointed because price did not go up, right? What I'm waiting for is, I do not cover a lot of pre-revenue stocks. I try to only cover one per year. This was my one per year, and I am hoping that very soon they won't be pre-revenue anymore. Fire up that Calgary plant. Let's look at the earnings so I can move on with my life and make better decisions with Northstar Clean Technologies. So that's my opinion, and that's what I'm waiting for. And moving on. Any other questions there on Northstar? Doesn't look like it, just a couple, but we're not done, so there might be more. This is a stock, talk about high potential, high risk. I did not like Dynacor Group. I bought this stock twice and ended up selling it twice. I think once I was just stop lossed out, And the other time they released some news or some news from Iolite, their largest shareholder, with all these concerns. And I just decided to sell. I've actually added this stock to my top stocks list, and it's growing on me. I do appreciate Atrium Research for their research. If you go look at this report, which I will put down below in the pinned comment, there is a lot of good news with this company. The main one is they have signed a share purchase agreement to acquire 100% of this permitted processing plant in Ecuador. I don't think the market is really recognizing that this is pretty important. This could be a pretty large facility, right? Total consideration for this plant's $25 million. That's why they had the financing that everybody criticized them for in the past. They are producing gold, refining gold, I should say. And, you know, with gold prices the way they're at, and with no real inclination that gold prices are going to be going down, I mean, their growth strategy seems to be executing here. They're talking here that this acquisition is a key first step in their growth plan to achieve 500 kilo ounces by 2030 of basically gold refining, representing 32% compounded annual growth rate. So, you know, I've been pretty skeptical of Dynacor. I still am. But it does help the communication with Atrium Research. They're putting out this interview here. I'll link to that down below in the pinned comment after this presentation. I like communication with shareholders. I like that they're communicating with Atrium and giving us some expected, growth in the future, right? With some valuation expectations, so I can plan a little bit with Dynacor, which is a lot better than what I've seen in the past. Now, keep in mind, it's interesting on this channel because as a microcap investor, I think a lot of people, especially the new investors and the investors that come down to this space from larger cap stocks, everybody seems to be looking for that 100x potential stock. And I'm not necessarily doing that all the time, right? If I can find a stock that has fairly de-risked that I think could get 50% growth in the next year, I'm not going to turn down a 50% gain in my money, right? Like, just because it doesn't have 10x potential in the next 2 years, or sky is the moon potential, 100x potential in the next decade. Like right now, Atrium Research's price target for $7.50. Right now, Dynacor is at $4.58 Canadian. If they achieve that, that would be 64% growth. Realistically, I just wonder if they can get back up to $5.50 Canadian with this acquisition, with some good news moving forward. That would be a 20% gain, plus they pay a 3% dividend. So somewhere between 23%, 67%, I would be super happy with that. So I just wanted to make it clear, I'm not the type of investor that's always chasing these 100x, sky is the limit type of stocks. If I can get a 20 to 64% gain in the next year, that's a really good gain. And I was talking about this on Twitter today, X, and it's interesting because you get a company. I'm not criticizing anybody. It's just an observation. It is interesting, though, when I get a lot of these stocks like Northstar Clean Technologies, a lot of these pre-revenue stocks, it seems like all the shareholders of these types of companies basically say that the thesis is to just hold forever. I'm just going to buy this stock. I'm going to hold it till 2035 at a minimum, and I'm going to make a fortune. It's going to go up 10x. But a lot of these kind of good companies that are producing cash are just kind of getting beat down. And there's a lot of these questioning, like, what have you done for me lately? You've been struggling for a few quarters. What have you done for me lately? Share price absolutely tanks. So you get a good cash producing company, and a lot of people are worried about 2025. They're worried about now. They're worried about today. And then you get a company that's pre-revenue, high risk, boom or bust type of stock, and everybody seems to be focused on, no problem, I'm going to hold this stock for the next 10 years, right? For me, it's just always interesting to see that contrast between different investors, right? A few other odds and ends here. Thank you to OmniLight Industries, right? So this is OmniLight Industries. I absolutely love this company. I think in about the 8th spot on my Discord right now, like number 8 of all the stocks I cover. I've been talking about them for a while at $1.15. Earnings are still 6 weeks away, and for some reason, their price has been going up recently on volume. This was July 9th, so this was about 5 days ago now. They've had some good buying since then, but I mean, they actually had a couple cross trades, as well as for such a tiny stock, it's been getting like 13,000 buys, $12,000 buys, $11,000 buys. So, I mean, it's too soon to say congratulations to OmniLight shareholders, but after seeing this slow trickle down effect with, the past 2 to 3 earnings being a little bit weak, trade, tariffs, Donald Trump, market fear kind of pushing the share price down, it's nice to see some large investors, for some reason that I don't know why yet, stepping in and buying OmniLight with size, with volume, and at a higher price. So maybe I can say a little bit of congratulations, at least the start of it, because after, not seeing any kind of excitement in this company for quite a while, it's nice to see that kind of increase in volume and increase in price for OmniLight. This is a company, $3 million of cash. They're a manufacturer. They have no debt. They own 6.9 million shares of California Nanotechnologies. So they have all kinds of assets, struggling to grow with Donald Trump trade issues and stuff like that. I hope that changes in the near future for them. Really kind of that low risk stock that you just hope pops someday. And speaking of like a low risk stock, at least in my opinion, that I hope pops someday, Mind Technologies. I missed it. This actually happened June 29th and June 30th. This is a US-based NASDAQ microcap stock I absolutely love. It was added to all these indexes here back on, June 29th and June 30th. So congratulations to Mind Technologies shareholders here. You get a little bit more exposure. You get a little bit more liquidity. You get a few more eyeballs on the stock. Now, unfortunately and disappointing, that happened right here. So people bought the price up on the expectation for this release, addition to all these indexes. And since that time, this has been one of the most frustrating parts of this stock, is it never seems to just level out and consolidate. Every time it goes up, instead of consolidating and leveling out, you get this slow dribble down, 1 to 2% down every day. That is significantly disappointing. The reason it is because pretty good company. Like, I'm trying to connect good companies with good investors. $9 million cash with no debt. They own a $7 million, 25,000 square foot facility in Texas. They got $80 million of NOLs in the USA. 46.8 million of revenue in the past year in 2025. They're profitable. They're profitable and growing. 74 cents earnings per share. Expected growth, we don't know how much. Hoping for around 15%. Might be more. I doubt it's too much under 15%. It might be more than that. Maybe they disappoint a little bit, but it'd still be 5 to 10%. So profitable with growth. Share price is going down again. So I'm going to be talking a lot more about Mind Technologies. And one of the reasons why is because I did it again this weekend. Every once in a while, I find the time, I put aside a chunk of time to go looking at stocks. This past weekend, I spent about 10 or 11 hours. I looked at around 100 different stocks. And what I'm always doing is, number one, I'm looking for stocks to introduce on this channel. So new stocks that meet my requirements that I can make a video on. But number two, and probably more importantly, is I'm looking for stocks. One of the major parts of the criteria of what I'm looking for is this new stock that I've found better than the stocks that I'm already covering? And one of the things that I found is that looking around for 10 or 11 hours this past weekend, I couldn't find a better stock than this one. I couldn't find a stock with a better balance sheet, with more assets on the books, with more reduced risk, in a growing profitable niche, and the company is also growing and profitable. I couldn't. At least I couldn't find a better stock than Mind Technologies that was not at probably around a 40 times earnings multiple. And right now, I mean, they're at about a 10 times earnings multiple, right? So love Mind Technology. They're now on all these indexes, and I'm pissed off because share price has been going down. So I'm going to be talking more about them in the future and hopefully their continued success. And speaking about continued success, TrueBar. I was watching TrueBar. We just had Amazon Prime or whatever. Forget what it's called. Amazon something. They had, all their sales over the course of a couple days there. I was checking it out. It's mostly for electronics, but they have sales on a bunch of stuff. TrueBar was getting some highlights here. I must say it. Like when I was looking around for protein bars, when I was looking around for vegan protein bars, TrueBar was getting a bit of a push. As well as recently, July 8th, we did get news that TrueBar has added another 500 stores in major regional grocery chains. So, I mean, this is a company selling protein bars and they need more stores. That's basically the entire thesis. So this is good work. And I mean, thank you for Claris for again communicating us some of the expectations for TrueBar, because after this addition of the 500 stores, they did produce another quick report on their expectations for TrueBar. This looks a little crazy, right? They're sitting at right now 80 to 90 cents. Their target price is $2.25. This is public. You could go find this publicly. I will actually link to this down below in the pinned comment as well, where you could find that. One of the things I noticed, though, is they did update their Q2 expectations. I believe they were expecting $20.5 million of revenue in Q2. That has now been downgraded to $18.7 million, which is a little bit more reasonable, but they are expected to still finish out the year a lot stronger than what they did in Q1, which was, as we were told, bad timing for the company. So it's not perfect, but it's good news for TrueBar in the media, as well as an update from Claris talking about the expectations. And again, that's the whole thesis for this company, is get more stores, sell more bars per store, and then get bought out. So, continued good kind of news here for TrueBar, and that got recognized at least recently. Lately it seems to be lower highs, lower lows, not really good for the stock. Hopefully it does look like this latest news announcement is getting a little bit of a breakout for TrueBar, because I'll tell you, that's what got me thinking about what you're doing right now, whether you're CanSlim investing into strength or whether you're looking for some other kind of cheaper opportunities out there that the market is maybe not recognizing. And this is one of those stocks, like this has been our bull run right here, and TrueBar has just completely missed it. So there's a lot of stocks out there that have been up significantly in June and July, and that has not been TrueBar. So it's an interesting one to look at as far as price and valuation compared to their news right now. So that is it for me. As always, if you're interested in talking and researching and discussing these stocks every day, as well as all the stocks that I'm not talking about here that I'm introducing and researching right now, that will be the next stocks that I make videos on and introduce to my channel, go check out commonsenseinvesting.ca. It will introduce you to my Patreon Discord as well as my Substack options. So I am done. And it's time to go check out the comments. So now's your shot. Questions, comments, concerns, any stocks you want me to look at. How are you doing? Are you making money? Are you losing money? How's it going? How's life? Let's get to the questions and answers. Let's see how everybody's doing here. I will move this over. Okay. Let's see here. Okay, the first question was on Dragonfly. I might as well just start right there while I wait for the YouTube feed to catch up and take a look. And look, I'll be honest here. I've never liked, I don't know why this chart is not loading. Let me just reload it. I've never liked Dragonfly. Now, I don't know if they've changed, right? But I made videos on Dragonfly. What was it? Here, probably here and here. So this is a company that makes drones, right? And they're always talking about their revenue and potential revenue. go take a look at their expenses, their cash burn, and go take a look at what they're paying management. Now, maybe that's changed. I have not looked at Dragonfly in all this time. And the reason is again, we all have our biases. I went and looked at them back here during 2022 and 2023, basically said my opinion was I have absolutely no interest in this company or this stock. I was right because it's down significantly in price. And since that time, in the past 18 months, year and a half, I have not taken another look because there are other stocks that I am very interested in, that I want to research right now, that I think are going to be pretty good, and I keep running out of time. So this one lost my trust already in the past, and it might be great now. No idea. I have not looked at them in the past 18 months, but I have to say I looked at them in the past, and I was not impressed at all by their expenses or their management compensation. So yeah, the questions about roof, hopefully I covered that off. Basically for me with Northstar Clean Technologies, these high risk, high reward potential stocks, I wait for execution. I try to be patient. You can only be patient though if again, it comes to down to position size and how much anxiety you get from owning this company. And, if they do go to zero, because they are a pre-revenue company, that is possible, right? Something could happen where this facility just absolutely fails. Can you afford that loss, right? And so for me with pre-revenue stocks, very small positions, that allows me to be very patient. I want to see execution. I want to see what those numbers look like from their Calgary facility. And I want to hear how they plan on ramping up into more facilities, right? Started a small position in Grid today after the little pullback. I'll wait to see if tariffs come into play before I do my second tranche. Yeah, congratulations. That's been a huge winner. That's Tantalus Systems. For me, I've never really, I've made one video on it. I would say that I missed out on Tantalus, except Grid has always been an institutional company, an institutional stock. They haven't really communicated much with retail investors. Their valuation is absolutely sky high, but apparently the institutions are looking at where this company can go in the next decade, and they're super excited about it. Myself with microcap stocks, I tend not to look a decade ahead. It doesn't really work for me. I might own a stock for a decade. I might own a microcap stock for a decade, but I make them work for it. I make them earn it every year. And so I've never been that excited for Tantalus. But I mean, huge winning stock. Institutions love it. Institutions expect it to continue to go up. So good luck. Good luck. I don't own it, right? Thank you for your past coverage of Kraken Robotics. It's done very well. You really know how to find these hidden gems. Thank you. I appreciate that. Kraken has done fantastic, from 30 cents to $3. It's been one of the highlights on my channel, not just because of the price. I've had stocks and I've had companies that have made more money than Kraken Robotics, but I do love that Kraken Robotics was, it's Canadian, it's in Newfoundland, so it's got some, personal touch to it for me. But the main thing, I agree with you, hidden gems. Kraken Robotics was a stock that not a lot of other people saw the opportunity here. I was one of the only people covering Kraken Robotics. I was one of the few people that were bullish on Kraken Robotics. So I appreciate the kudos, because I do think I earned it on this one. A lot of people miss Kraken Robotics. I did find out, I did not know at the time, that Matthew Martin from Rivmont was also in Kraken Robotics and was actually in Kraken from before my time in 2018. So congratulations to Rivmont and Matthew Martin as well. But yeah. Game On, any thought? Game On Entertainment? No, that stock is dead, zero, gone. CEO's in a beach in Poland or something like that. So I don't have any thoughts. Game On Entertainment, high risk, high risk Microcap stock, wasn't it, that I introduced to this channel? And it's gone, it's disappeared, bankrupt as far as I know, right? And I'll say that, look, if I introduce 52 stocks per year. These are all microcap stocks, nanocap stocks, picocap stocks, high risk. We're hoping some high reward. Out of 52 stocks, I've said this every year, there's going to be 1 to 2 that absolutely crash, that go to zero or crash. Every year we get this. That is the nature of the game, right? You can't look at 52 microcap stocks, nanocap, and picocap stocks per year and not get around 2 that absolutely crash. Last year was Payfair and Game On Entertainment. This year was, what was that tiny little company, that health company? Shit, I'm going to forget what it is. But it was Simply Solventless Concentrates, hash. The cannabis stock dropped 70%. Evo Medical, that's it. Evo Medical, basically gone right now. I don't know if they're coming back. So every year, as a microcap investor, if you're looking at that many stocks, you're going to get 2 that are gone. And, you know, people on social media, like I hate CEO.ca with all their anonymous comments, will be like, oh, that common sense investing. Look at this losing stock he picked. Yes, like it's absolutely impossible to pick 100% winning stocks. It just can't be done, right? So you manage your position size, manage your risk, you build your portfolio in a way that works for your investment strategy. And you need to get enough winners to offset the few losers. You need to find enough Kraken robotics to make sure you get significant returns. But you do have to realize that there are going to be microcap stocks in your portfolio that go to 80%, 90% down, 100% down. That is part of investing in this space, right? Have I ever looked at ICE? They run sports facilities in North America, super illiquid, and a lot of venture capital money, I think, but management owns a lot as well. So no, I have never heard of ICE, but I got a little bit of time. I could go take a look to see if I can at least find the ticker. But the problem is, ICE what? ICE, Intercontinental Exchange Incorporated. Is that what you are talking about? This one, which would be a $104 billion market cap, which would not be something that I would have on my channel. That's not even close to a microcap stock. So if that is the ticker you are talking about, then no, I have never looked at ICE because I simply don't go that large. Like, it's interesting for my channel because people will ask me about Grid, Tantalus Holdings, Zedcor, Vital Hub, Kits Eyewear, and those are all fantastic companies and they're potentially great stocks. I don't know, but they're close to $500 million market cap. They're past my channel's criteria, right? Those are the stocks I want to find, you know, 99% lower than where they're at today. I'm a microcap investor, so I don't invest in larger companies. So even Kraken Robotics now, up to like 750 million, it's basically off my channel now. Like, I keep it on my list, but it's almost more of like an honorary spot because right now I'm looking for the next Kraken Robotics. So I know like some people right now talking about Grid today, Tantalus Holdings, great company. It's been a super winner. I'm looking for the next Grid, right? I'm looking for the next Zedcor. And for me, I try. My favorite is under $50 million market cap stock, right? That's what I'm looking for. I love the under 50 million market cap stocks. And but if they're 50 to 100, you know, I'll take a definite look at that as well. But any larger than that, and typically it's not something that I'm too interested in. Thank you for the video on Nurse V. That is Hydrate Technologies. Compared to Avant Core, that video was a winning video. I think Hydrate was my #1 video in the past 10. Looks like they're a good company. Had some nice news today, yes. Hydrate is one of those stocks I think is underappreciated because if you look at Hydrate, that is the type of company where if they succeed, the sky is the limit. Like, this thing has very large potential for growth, long growth in the future. But if you look at the actual base company, I think people are underestimating the fact that they're actually profitable already, right? Like they're not some shitco that's boom or bust. They have a very high valuation right now because of a lot of people are figuring out how much potential they have in the future. But even with the high valuation, if they don't succeed with one of their revenue verticals and they disappoint, the core business is still profitable. So, I mean, it's a very, very interesting company. Very polarizing company. People either love or hate Hydrate, but I had to make a video on it. It was time, right? We're all sort of waiting on Q2 numbers for everyone. Simply Solventless, I'm holding until then. Yeah, look, this is supposed to be the boring time in between Q1 and Q2, and it mostly has been. It's actually been more interesting with financings. I mean, Kraken Robotics had a financing. We had, now Gatekeeper had a financing. NTG Clarity had a financing. So there's been a lot of financings. I think what companies are doing is trying to get it out of the way, because this is supposed to be the boring time between Q1 and Q2 when share price is low and companies don't do financings. But because we've had this bull market for the past 6, 7, 8 weeks, prices are high, all these companies are doing financings, it's a little bit more exciting than it should be. Yes, we should be sitting here on a beach or having a nap somewhere with a book on our chest, not watching the stock market because it's supposed to be boring. We're supposed to be sitting here waiting for Q2. It's starting to slow down now, I have to say, but the past, I don't know, 4, 5, 6 weeks, definitely haven't had much of a summer vacation because it's been very exciting. It's been very newsworthy and share prices going up. Could you speak on MCB and the pullback that we're currently seeing? I can't explain it. There's some large sellers out there for McCoy Global, which is never good. But at the same time, I honestly think it's a good and natural thing. Sorry, I'm just pulling up the chart for McCoy Global, is that, this is one of my favorite companies right now. They've been very successful for me. Yes, I am a shareholder. And, what can you say about, returns that have gone from around $2 to up to $4? People are disappointed. I'd say zoom out a little bit, right? You have to look at it sometimes where, was that maybe getting ahead of its skis? At the end of the day, it's still up significantly. But I know if you zoom in and you see this little dip, people get worried. But the thing is, with these types of stocks that go up quickly, when you get people that bought here or bought here or bought here on this dip, they have to be looking at this as a potential quick trade. They have made money. You can trim and de-risk your portfolio, or you could sell entirely if you're more of a short-term trader and you just took a look at this stock and said, yeah, there's some catalysts coming up with their smart TR systems. So whether people are trimming or whether people are selling because they're traders, both of those things happen. This happens almost every time that you get a stock that's this successful. If you get a company that's just slow growth and share prices like this, you don't tend to see these big dips. I would be more worried if that happened. But in this case, I think it's totally natural. What you'll see in here is basically it's causing shares to change hands from, I hate to say this because it's a bit of a cliche, but from weaker hands, from traders and from people who want to trim. And the people that are buying are the people that still, even at $4, see the long-term vision of this company and where they're supposed to go. So I'm not worried at all. I think it's totally natural. And, nothing is really, this is one of those companies, it gives me almost zero anxiety. Like I go to sleep and never think about McCoy Global. So I'm not too worried about that share price dip. What I am waiting for with McCoy Global is I think we're all expecting more of the smart TR contracts to come in. I just don't know when, right? I'm not sitting here panicked. It's only middle of July. If this was middle of September and there wasn't another smart TR contract, I might be getting a little bit more worried. But right now, I'm not too worried at all about McCoy. Called Kraken very early. I have shares from 32 cents. Unfortunately, only 2,000 shares. Absolutely. Congratulations. I'm sorry it's only 2,000 shares for you. It's funny. I was joking around because it bugs my wife sometimes, but I like to put expenses into the category of microcap stocks, right? Instead of looking at something like that's $100 expense, I'll be like, that right now my favorite company is 10 cents. That 2,000 shares of this company I could have bought, right? And so sometimes when we're spending money, I compare it to how many shares of Kraken Robotics that could have bought me in 2022, right? Instead of like, this is a X amount of bill, I'll be like, that could have bought us 2,000 shares of Kraken Robotics in 2022. You know how much money that would be today, right? So it's interesting when you can put into context, instead of just looking at a dollar as a dollar, but you could put your money into context of like, this $1 is an investment that I can make today and what could be worth into the future. Personally, I find I spend less money and I invest more money. So that's what I tried to do. This namesys ctz.v, I'll look into it. It's on my list somewhere. I haven't got to it. I don't have any thoughts. I don't have any opinions. I have not looked at it in depth at all. So I don't know, but I will say that it is on my list somewhere to look at. I've had some people recommend it. So no opinion yet, but hopefully I will get one in the future. Yeah, so I was looking at ICE. You were saying no, it's Canlin Ice Sports. So no, I was looking at the wrong ticker. Should be specific. It's like a $60 million market cap. Canlin Ice Sports. I'll take a look in a minute. Avicor Health was my rug pull last year. You're right. It's about expected value of returns. Absolutely. So like, people don't understand. And again, not financial advice. It's just what I do. But like, personally, I typically own from about 12 to 25 stocks, right? And one of the things I find, I'm horrified by it. When we get people that come into the microcap space, buy one stock, roll all their capital into one stock, thinking it's the best stock in the world, it goes to zero, and they've just been devastated. That is horrifying for me to see. Now, it's fine if you're a large capital, large money investor, and you're coming down into this space and you're just having fun and it's 0.0001% of your portfolio, that's no problem. But I know, especially, I go on all these social media platforms, I watch people throughout the day. I know some people that have 80, 90, 100% of their capital in one stock, thinking it's going to double, triple, go up 10x. It goes to zero and it crashes. So again, please, think about risk, what you can afford to lose whenever you buy a stock, one of these stocks. You have to prepare for a crash. And for me, it's about position sizing. It's about, what I'm willing to risk. I get caught sometimes too. I was overweight a little bit last year in Payfair. Payfair dropped 80%. It doubled, it recovered a little bit, so it got bought out. I think I lost something like 20, 30, 40% on Payfair. But man, that first day when it dropped 70%, I got caught too because I was a bit overweight. But overweight was like, 15% of my portfolio and not 100% of my portfolio. So you got to make sure that you're position sizing properly. Because look, if you can get 30, 40, 50% gains in microcap stocks in a year, that's huge. That's a huge amount of money. So many people are chasing these, I want 500% gains every year, and then they end up getting caught. Snip Interactive. I love Snip. I'm going to be making another video on Snip. The price has been stable. I don't know that I love the price, but the price has been stable at 7 cents. Again, I went back, I asked the question, are you slim investing or GARP investing? Snip is potentially one of those kind of GARP stocks where, they were late filing their audited earnings. They had a trading halt and they completely missed out on this bull market. Share price has gone down. It hasn't gone up because of all these concerns. So the thing about Snip is, I think if you're interested in Snip, it's going to struggle to go up until next year when they can get their audited earnings in on time, right? Investors do not like it when you're late with earnings. They're going to want better execution than that. So, I think Snip Interactive is one of those, if you buy it today, it's got to be kind of a 12-month hold, in my opinion, because people aren't going to trust it until we get audited annual earnings in at a good time for a change, right? That's on Snip. They need to do better. So good company, but if you can't get your earnings in on time, and people really question that. Nurse had a news release today, sounded bullish thoughts. You know what? People have been talking about this. I was preparing for this video. I don't even know if I saw it. So let me go take a look here. News release on Nurse. Oh, okay. Hydrate Technologies to buy 5% equity stake in some company, Perfect Scripts LLC, with option to increase to 40%, strategic partnership. No, I don't really have any thoughts. I don't, because this is, these strategic partnerships, I could never have a thought on it just today. Sometimes you got to stand back, you got to digest it, you got to let the company tell you what's so important about the strategic partnership, or you have to be one of those investors or shareholders of Hydrate that knows absolutely damn everything about the company to understand what this partnership is about. One of the things I will say, and this is very generic, this is not on Snip, Hydrate, so don't take it personally, Hydrate. I don't really like too many partnership type acquisitions and news releases. I find they're, I want to say pumpy, but promotional maybe. Like, if there's a press release on this partnership or small acquisition, I would like the company to come out and tell me why it's important. More than just in a press release, I think there needs to be more CEO interviews to really understand what's going on there. So, not saying that I always hate these press releases. I don't want to be that guy, but I don't have an opinion right now. I would like the company to tell me why it's kind of important. LPSN live person, never heard of that one. LSPN, under what ticker? Like what country? Live person, right? That's the hard thing for me doing this. Okay, there it is. LPSN live person. I don't have thoughts on it. I've never looked at this company before. I'll just take a quick look. I mean, it's down. It's $88 million market cap, NASDAQ general markets, so that's good. Up a little bit recently. What does this company do? CEO salaries, management salaries are a little healthy. Digital customer conversation enables brands to leverage the live person platform intelligence to connect consumers through an integrated suite of mobile and online business. So it does what basically every other company does, which is a bit of concern for me. This would take research to try to figure out what is different about this company than every other company out there. And my gosh, what's going on here? So they've had significant declines in revenue that would need some explaining. So I've been here 5 seconds. I don't have an opinion. I've never looked at this company, but I've already noted, two pretty significant factors that I'm worried about. What differentiates them from every other company out there? Why is their revenue going down significantly? I will say, though, if you're talking GARP or cheap or beat up, potential inflection point if this company can get their shit together, right? Because what did I say? $88 million market cap, $292 million of revenue. I need to look at the quality of that, how much cash they're burning, because, this doesn't look pretty. So not typically what I look at, but if you could convince me that there was an inflection point coming up in their future, then yeah, I'd definitely take a look at it. I just need to understand what that inflection point is. What's going to change? Because right now that looks like a company, it's trending down. The worst is one stock on a pump and dump. Yeah, there's a whole bunch of those. What are your thoughts on Tornado Infrastructure Equipment Limited? Is it right time to enter at this price for long? Look, I don't give financial advice, so I'm not going to say whether now is the time to buy. I like Tornado. I've always liked Tornado. I've been covering them since 95 cents. I don't really cover them anymore. I've said this, I think, on my last live stream. Their management doesn't speak to retail investors. It's impossible to get information out of them. They don't have earnings calls. They don't do CEO interviews. I've emailed management. They've never replied to my email. So the stock has gone up from $1 to $2. Absolute congratulations. It looks like a really good company, but I've basically removed them from my channel because, not that I want to, it's just, it's hard to provide coverage on a stock that I don't have enough information on. So I have no idea what's going on with Tornado Global Hydrovacs, or whatever their name is now, Tornado Infrastructure Equipment. You really have to be kind of a quant investor and just go straight to their earnings and look at their earnings. And I haven't done that for a while. Prospect Res, is that Prospect Resources? No. So I am heavily against resources. I do not do many resource stocks at all. Now, my typical saying is that, you know, in the gold rush, the people that made the money weren't the gold miners. It was the people who sold the shovels and the picks and the clothes and the donkeys and other interesting things that were being sold in the gold rush. All those people got rich. Very, very, very few gold miners got rich. So if you have a resource company, and there are a few of them out there, and their name is Resource, but they're actually selling shovels to resource companies, that's what I would be more interested in. That's basically what Enterprise Group does. Huge successful stock that's on my channel. And McCoy Global, same thing, right? Alternative to resources. It's not really a resource stock. I love those alternative type stocks, right? I'd love to hear about Tornado too. I'd like to hear about Tornado as well. You know, you got to go to the numbers. You got to go to earnings. I guess you got to have some kind of trust that management's going to be able to continue this. I was always concerned about Tornado because they sell hydrovac trucks. Their main manufacturing is in Red Deer, Alberta, Canada, and their main customer is in the United States. So the concern for me with Tornado was always tariffs. Tariffs. How the heck are they been getting around, through, over, or under these tariffs? I do not know, but they seem to be doing it. The reason I don't know is, again, management never tells us. I would absolutely love for management to contact like Atrium Research, start up some coverage, get some institutional analysts going, and start up some coverage and communicate with retail investors, because I've been complaining about this. They're up 100% and I'm still complaining, right? So that's my thoughts on Tornado. I just tuned in. If you haven't covered it, could you please talk about your thoughts on the Gatekeeper $10 million bought deal? Oh, well, I mean, you can go back, but my thoughts aren't, it's great. It's fantastic. I've been yelling at them. I've had live streams. I think they were privately on my Discord, where I was basically saying, Doug, if you are listening or watching this video, do a damn financing. Do it. Like, I'm so happy that Gatekeeper did a financing, because I was worried he wouldn't, because Doug's a stubborn guy. He wants to hold true to his word, and he said he wasn't going to do a financing. But when your stock goes up 200%, and when you're trading for 4 times trailing 12-month revenue, or 4 to 5 times trailing 12-month revenue, and you're sitting at that valuation, you need to do a financing, and he did it. So I'm happy. And the fact that, my gosh, he did it. My guess was he was going to do a financing at $1.15 Canadian. He did it at $1.20 with no warrants. So I thought I had pretty high expectations for a financing for Gatekeeper at $1.15 with a half warrant, and Doug managed to get it done at $1.20 with no warrant. Beat my expectations. Fantastic deal. They need the cash. They can chase larger contracts. They got a stronger balance sheet. Share price, $1.40 something, was too high anyway. I know people will hate me for saying that, right? So if they could bring in $10 million at $1.20, I think that's a fantastic opportunity. Dirt, I like Dirt. They're not my have you ever had those companies or stocks where they're just too hard? Very successful company. I missed out on them. They were a lower share price. They're up now. I'm going to go check and see what they're at right now, actually. One of the things I didn't like about Dirt was I always thought, or was worried that they have high cost of labor. You know, they have a lot of manpower. This is like an engineering company. But yeah, they were pretty successful. They went from 60 cents all the way up to a buck 36 cents. I thought I missed out. Now they're back down again. So maybe I should go take another look. I was always concerned about their high cost of capital. And really, this is one of those companies that it's not one of those 100x stocks. The sky is the limit potential. This is slow, stable growth. They have to battle for their growth, investing in their people and then growing, and then investing in their people again and growing again. So I've always liked the company. I don't know that I've ever really liked the stock, and it sucks. I was very happy when they went up significantly. I know a lot of people that made money on dirt. It sucks to see them down in price right now. Name Silo Technology. So I love this company. I don't know why I haven't done a video on them to date. I probably should do that soon. So for people who don't know, Name Silo is basically a holding company for the most famous Canadian microcap investor, maybe the most famous microcap investor in the world, in Paul Andreola, right? When you go to Microcap Club, which is probably the most famous microcap club in the world, and you go to their rankings, like their number one investors, or their ranking of investors that have picked stocks and how much they are up, Paul Andreola is just at the top of the list. He is the number one investor in Microcap Club. Pretty famous guy. Smallcapdiscoveries.com. Go check it out, right? This is basically his company. And what he did is he bought Name Silo, which is a domain company. You buy domains to have websites. But he didn't really buy it for Name Silo. He bought Name Silo because it produces cash. And then when Name Silo produces cash, what Paul Andreola, the most successful microcap investor potentially in history, does with that cash is he reinvests it. So recently they bought another company, and you know, they've financed other companies. They're currently financing companies as we speak, is my understanding. So it's more than just a domain company. Basically, they use the domain company for the cash. They take that cash and then go reinvest it in other places. Somebody on my Discord did some deep dive research in them on 30 cents. I think they were at 30 cents Canadian. They're now up to like $1.10, and they just keep going up. So fantastic company, great backing, makes lots of cash. If you basically want access to just free access to Paul Andreola, Name Silo is the stock that does that. Could their lack of investor relations be a good thing in a way? Perhaps if they could improve their investor relations, interest would increase, and it could be, yeah, maybe, but that doesn't help me as a retail investor, right? Now, maybe if they become a small cap, I'm assuming you're talking about Tornado again. If you're a small cap investor and Tornado Global Infrastructure or whatever equipment now is waiting until they're a larger company, and then they're going to start communicating with institutional investors and do more investor relations, that's great, but they've left the entire microcap community behind. So it doesn't help me. You know, I was interested in Tornado at a much cheaper price. If they go up in price and then they decide now's the time we want to start speaking with people, that's great, but they'll be off my lists because they're already getting to be too big of a company for me, right? So take a look at SWVL. I believe they're a very interesting turnaround SPAC story that survived bankruptcy in 2022 and started growing again responsibly with big potential. Sure, I'll look at them someday. Yeah, Hypercharge Networks. This is probably the last stock I look at because running out of time. I made a video on Hypercharge Networks. They're up a little bit. Look, this wasn't me. My channel is not big enough to really move share price, so I know people have said that. You know, they were undervalued. They were sitting here at around, 6 to 7 cents for a long time. Hypercharge Networks is now up to about 10.5 cents. They hit 11 cents every once in a while. One of the big reasons is their earnings are coming up. Their earnings are expected. It says here July 14th. I was told July, on or before July 29th. So Hypercharge Networks earnings are expected here soon in kind of the next couple weeks. And because they have a really weird timing of their earnings, their next earnings are actually their full year earnings. So if you look down here, I don't know if we'll see it, they recently completed a financing, but they previously reported their Q3 results, third quarter. So the earnings coming up on or before the 29th are full year earnings. The reason I'm interested or was interested in this company is because it is, right now, even though they're at 10.5 cents, 7.48 million market cap, so very tiny little pico cap stock here under $10 million. They're expected, I think, this year to produce $9 million of revenue. They might exceed that, and they're talking about pretty continued strong growth. I noticed it was posted online today that they just sold 3 of their large level 3 chargers. So this has been going up. I think they had something like, $1 million of revenue back here in 2023. They had around $3 to $4 million kind of in 2024, and now they're moving up to about $9 million. So they've been doubling every year for the past couple of years. Now I think it's just being ignored a little bit. And it's still high risk, though. Again, 7.48 million market cap. Ooh, that's risky. That goes down 2 pennies, and that cuts off like a lot of market cap. If it goes down 2 pennies, you've lost, 30% of your money. So good company, potentially good company, I hope, but we'll see what happens with Hypercharge Networks. But yeah, that's one of the smaller stocks that I have looked at. Amerigo Resources. Again, not much of a resource channel, but Hypercharge was the last one. I'm over an hour. I am done. I am losing my energy. I'm losing my voice, and it's time to shut her down for you. So thanks for watching. Really appreciate it. As always, I'll see you again roughly in about a week. I do this every week talking about microcap stocks. Those are the updates that I had for you this week. I hope you enjoyed them. And yeah, take a look at commonsensebrands.ca and let me know what your favorite stocks are and what you're doing with them. Do you think this bull market continues? Do you think we finally get a little bit of slowdown so we could go take some summer vacation? It will be interesting, right? But good luck out there. I hope everybody's making money, and I'll